Although Snowflake had a set of flying treasures, it was still so tired that it stuck out its tongue and breathed heavily. It was nighttime in London, but the lights made the city seem particularly prosperous. It was Jacob's first time visiting London. Therefore, he didn't know which way to go. Kathy didn't know where her parents lived now, as she hadn't visited them in a long time. But she knew where her father's factory was, and immediately pulled out the directions to that area on her phone. She gave the directions, and Snowflake, as a smart spirit beast, took them to their destination, flying slowly and paying attention to their surroundings. Kathy widened her eyes and said, "That's it, right there!" A few tall buildings surrounded a small factory. The factory was closed, yet the lights in one of the offices were still on. Snowflake carried Jacob and Kathy and floated towards the factory. Through the window, Jacob saw a middle-aged man and woman inside. The window was half open. Snowflake crawled onto the windowsill and grabbed onto the window frame with its two front paws. Jacob and Kathy could clearly see the two people inside the office through the half-opened window. "Today's account is settled. We made 900 quid in total." The middle-aged woman closed the account book with a long sigh and said, "Oh, that's nice," the middle-aged man said with a gentle smile. "That's not correct. Taxes haven't been included, and we still have to pay the employees at the end of the month." The middle-aged woman rubbed the space between her eyebrows and put down the pencil. "Nat, thank you for all your hard work." The middle-aged man looked at the woman kindly and said, "I haven't bought you any nice gifts in such a long time." "We are not here to have fun. If we make more money, our Kathy will have a more comfortable life in the future." The middle-aged woman shook her head and said with a smile, "That's right. After working so hard our entire lives, all we want is to make her happy. Originally, we wanted her to come study here in the UK, but since she didn't want to, we will just let her be. A grown girl can't be kept at home. I guess she might not feel close to her dad because we're often apart from each other." Kathy's always been a sensible girl since she was small, so you don't have to worry too much. Furthermore, she'll definitely be fine since Walter's family's taking care of her. Walter's been a friend of mine for so many years. I trust him. But she's my only daughter. I can't help but think about her at the end of a busy day. The middle-aged man looked up at the clock and said, "It should be lunchtime over there. I thought Kathy was going to call me." "Old man, she's not calling you. You can call her instead. You keep saying that your back hurts every day, but it'll stop hurting when you call your daughter," the middle-aged woman said while she laughed and complaining at the same time. "All right, I'll call her. She wouldn't be busy right now, would she?" the middle-aged man said while he grabbed his phone. A few seconds later, Jacob felt the vibration of the phone inside Kathy's pocket. Jacob immediately pulled Snowflake away and flew a few meters higher. Kathy pulled out her phone from her pocket and answered anxiously, "Hello, Dad?" As she was speaking disjointedly, Jacob turned around and realized that her face was covered in tears.
"Kathy, what's wrong? Something sounds wrong."
Kathy's dad's voice came out from the phone. "Nothing. I got a cold today." Kathy covered the phone with her hands and said,
"I told you always to take care of your body, no matter how busy you are. Don't let it affect your health."
Kathy's dad's tone suddenly became stern. "I know, Dad," Kathy replied as tears rolled down her cheeks.
Nothing much. I just wanted to hear my daughter's voice. Are you busy studying today?"
Kathy's dad continued. I'm not busy. I'm eating out with Jacob right now." Kathy tried to adjust her tone and pretended that everything was normal while she answered.
"I think he's a pretty good kid,"
Kathy's dad said. Since his voice was loud and clear, Jacob, who was sitting in front of Kathy, heard everything. Kathy smiled at him through her tears. Kathy's parents never could have known that their beloved daughter was outside the window at the moment.
"Kathy, summer's coming soon, but it's still going to be chilly at night. When you're studying in your bedroom at night, pay attention to the temperature and don't catch a cold, okay? Oh, And since you're a bit sick, remember to drink more water.
Trailing behind was the voice of Kathy's mom. Mom, you and Dad should take care of yourselves.
Don't worry. Your dad and I are in good health. He walks around the workshops dozens of times every day. And he's even more energetic than young people.
Kathy's mom said firmly on the phone. You guys should eat well and live well. Don't stress yourselves out too much, Kathy continued on the phone.
We can find everything in London. Your dad and I are not stressed out at all. Right now, we're in our apartment and watching TV comfortably. All right, we're going to sleep soon. Your afternoon classes are about to start. Don't be late.
Kathy's mom said before she hung up the phone. Jacob turned around and looked at Kathy. He realized that Kathy, who was putting her phone away, was holding her tears in, and her nose was even a little red. Snowflake descended slowly back to the windowsill. After the call, Kathy's mom rubbed her temples and said, My head hurts a bit today. I'm going to go get some tea when we get home. You've been working too hard lately. Maybe we should go to the hospital tomorrow and get some medicine. Kathy's dad looked at her worryingly and said, Visiting the hospital's too expensive. It wasn't easy to earn this money. We should spend less. Kathy's mom locked the account book in the drawer and turned the office lights off. Let's go. Let's finish checking the other warehouses and then go home. Okay, I'll go and visit the factories in the suburbs tomorrow, Kathy's father said as he walked out of the office with Kathy's mom. Shortly, their shadows appeared near the warehouse below. Jacob and Kathy were hovering in midair. With the protection of the red energy sphere, Kathy's parents would not be able to notice them. As Kathy saw her slightly exhausted parents checking the locks on the warehouses one by one, she sighed softly. Let's head back. Kathy's dad owned a few large factories in the UK, but it was also stressful to manage them. Since she saw her parents with her own eyes, she was satisfied. How could she not miss her parents? She had been so conflicted about whether she would move here or stay back at home. She had almost decided to move when the old woman had given her the life and death notes and introduced her to the world of cultivation, as much as she wanted to be close to her parents. Kathy couldn't leave now, knowing that Jacob was the only one who could help her in her progress. She felt as if her purpose in life was bigger than just being a good student, and she had to stay back in the States to find that purpose. Once she could reach the realm where she could ride a flying sword, she'd be able to see her parents more often. Once she could get better at making elixirs, she'd be able to ensure her parents' good health. The red energy sphere drew a red line in London's night sky and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Speaking of which, the MTX Group's London's division contacted me today and said that they want to discuss a huge opportunity with me. At the entrance to the factory's warehouse, Kathy's dad suddenly remembered something before turning around and telling Kathy's mom immediately.